Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Cook, Quorum, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill, Holbert.
Excused.
John, Jones, Kagan, Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lumberg, Marble, Martinez-Humenic,
Excused.
Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Tate, Todd, Williams, Zinzinger, Martinez-Humenic. Mr. President.
Here. With 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Smallwood, would you please come and lead us in the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, guests and visitors in the gallery, please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal, Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal of Wednesday, March 21st be dispensed with, and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Committee reports.
March 21st, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology has had in consideration had a hearing on the following appointments or recommends appointments to be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Board of Assessment Appeals for terms expiring July 1st, 2018. Sandra Winterhoff Mercier of Westminster, Colorado, reappointed. Mary Kay Kelly of Silverthorne, Colorado, reappointed. Anna Louise Miracle of Denver, Colorado, reappointed. Greg Allen Neer of Lakewood, Colorado, reappointed for a term expiring July 1st, 2021. Deborah Ann Baumbach of Littleton, Colorado, reappointed. March 21st, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology has had under consideration and had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends appointments to be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the State Historical Society Board of Directors for a term expiring July 1st, 2020. Rick Pedersen of Denver, Colorado, reappointed. March 21st, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee as following: House Bill 1237, be amended as follows: as amended, be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. March 21st, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee as following: Senate Bill 178, be amended as follows: as amended, be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. March 21st, 2018, Committee on Business, Labor, and Technology, after consideration of the Mayor's Committee as following: House Bill 1227, be amended as follows: as amended, be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. March 21st, 2018, the Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs has had on consideration had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments to be placed on the consent calendar. Confirmed. Members of the Board of Commissioners of Veterans Community Living Centers for a term expiring July 1st, 2019. Carolyn Mickey of Brush, Colorado, serves as a member with expertise in nursing home operations, who is a nursing home administrator at the time of the appointment, who is experienced in the financial operations of a nursing home and as a Republican, and occasioned by the resignation of Ruth Eileen Minima, RNMA and HARACCT of Centennial, Colorado, appointed effective July 1st, 2017 for terms expiring July 1st, 2021. Kathleen N. Dunman, PhD, APRN, CNMBC of Littleton, Colorado, who has an expertise in nursing home operations, who has practical clinical experience in nursing homes and as a Democrat, reappointed. Cheryl Ann Krush, EDD, MS, RN, CNE of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, who has an expertise in nursing home operations and has experience in multi-facility management of nursing homes and as a Democrat, reappointed. March 21st, 2018, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee following: House Bill 1018, be amended as follows: as amended, be referred to committee to hold the favorable recommendation. March 21st, 2018, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee following: House Bill 1021, be postponed indefinitely. March 21st, 2018, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee following: House Bill 1047, be amended as follows: as amended, referred to committee to hold a favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. March 21st, 2018, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs, after consideration of Mayor's Committee following: House Bill 1145, be referred to committee to hold a favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar.
Senate Services.
Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 1 and 47 correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 109, 188, and 202 correctly revised. House Bill 1191 and 1228 correctly re-revised. House Bill 1249 correctly enrolled. Senate Bill 104.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we move the Senate out of order for a tribute by Senator Williams.
Motion before the body is for the Senate to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege and a tribute by Senator Williams. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and I think we'll include Senator Fields in that as well, in that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will proceed out of order. Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted for both of you.
Thank you. And members, today we are here to pay tribute to the Tuskegee Airmen Commemoration Day of Observance. And if you recall, last year, the Tuskegee Airmen were here on the fourth Thursday of March, and they had donated an incredible, beautiful piece of art that was painted by one of the original Tuskegee Airmen, and it is now on permanent display on the third floor of this state capitol. And so today, on behalf of the Hubert Hooks Jones chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, I just want to take a few minutes that we can observe the Commemoration Day in Colorado by presenting to you the story of our own Lieutenant Colonel James Harvey III. He is a documented original Tuskegee Airman and a Colorado resident. And members, he is here with us today. I want you to also know that the last 3 living Tuskegee Airmen reside here in Colorado, and we also have Lieutenant Harvey and Lieutenant Macon here with us today. Lieutenant Colonel Harvey grew up in rural northeast Pennsylvania, and in his early life, he never experienced racist attitudes. He was always accepted as an equal until he joined the U.S. Army and experienced prejudice for the first time. He has a keen interest in flying, and one day he saw a flight of fighter planes overhead flying in formation. This captured his attention and interest. He went through basic training, and because of his high test scores, he was eventually assigned to the Army Air Corps Engineers Group that built airfields in remote areas. He didn't enjoy that assignment, so he applied for cadet training, and he was one of 2 who passed the test. By the time World War II ended in 1945, he was assigned to the 99th Fighter Squadron in Kentucky under the command of Colonel Benjamin Davis, Jr., who was the first Tuskegee pilot in training, graduating from that class. In 1947, the Army Air Corps became the U.S. Air Force. 2 years later, a directive was issued as an intra-squadron weapons competition to be held at the Las Vegas Air Force Base. Lieutenant Colonel Harvey was selected by Colonel Davis as one of the 3 primary and 1 alternate pilots to compete in that event. Colonel Davis, who was now the commander of the 332nd Fighter Group, selected the unit's top 3 gun team, 2 members plus an alternate. His career continued with a variety of leadership assignments throughout the world. He was also checked out to fly a large number of sophisticated fighter jet planes. And after retiring, despite their stellar piloting skills, he and his Tuskegee colleagues were unable to get commercial piloting jobs because they were Negroes. His post-Air Force career eventually led him to settle in the Denver metro area in 1972 as a distribution center manager for Oscar Mayer, where he has lived until today. So I now have the pleasure to introduce to you Lieutenant Colonel James Harvey, the winning member of the 1949 Air Force competition and Top Gun Colorado resident.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I also would like to request a moment of personal privilege to read a tribute that our president has signed. Thank you. The Colorado State Senate hereby extends their commendation to the Tuskegee Airman and Lieutenant Colonel James H. Harvey III. He is at the tender age of 95 years old. The Tuskegee Airmen and Lieutenant Colonel James H. Harvey III documented original Tuskegee Airmen as a lieutenant. Harvey was a winning team member of the 1949 1st Air Force Aerial Competition Top Gun. His exemplary service consistency has led to triumph and success. Thank you for your exceptional service, aviation skills, and contributions throughout the entire country and Colorado. On request of the 2018 Colorado Black Democratic Legislative Caucus, given this day, the 22nd day of March 2018, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed by our President, Kevin J. Grantham. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senators. Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I would like to ask if we may take just a brief moment and allow our colleagues to welcome our guests, if you so deem appropriate.
Absolutely, Senator. Let's take a brief recess and greet our guests. Senate will come back to order. Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar.
House Bill 1228 by Representatives Everett and Michaelson Janae and Senator Garcia concerning increasing transparency in higher education statutes relating to military service.
Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1228 on third reading, final passage, consent calendar.
Is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bill on the third reading of bill consent calendar. Are there any no votes on the bill on the third reading of bill consent calendar? With 34 ayes, 0 noes are absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1228 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Donovan, Senator Williams, Senator Todd, Senator Crowder, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Marble, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Court, Senator Aguilar, Senator Fields. I got you, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Kafalis, Senator Jones, Senator Merrifield, Senator Smallwood, Senator Tate, Senator Lambert, Senator Scott, Senator Neville, Senator Gardner, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Cook, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Kagan, Senator Moreno, Senator Lundberg, Senator Fenberg, Senator Priola, please add the president. Third reading of bills. Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move third reading of bills, final passage consisting of Senate Bill 123, Senate Bill 047, Senate Bill 1191, Senate Bill 001 be laid over till March 23rd, tomorrow.
And I assume you mean House Bill 1191.
Yes, sir, I do.
Motion is for that to lay over till Friday, March 23rd. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and that will lay over. General order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar.
Motion for the body is for the Senate to resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Smallwood will take the chair.
Committee will come to order. The court ruler is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1099 by Representatives Catlin and McLaughlin and Senator Quorum concerning criteria that the Broadband Deployment Board is required to develop with regard to an incumbent telecommunications provider exercise of a right to implement a broadband deployment project in an unserved area of the state upon a non-incumbent provider's application to the Broadband Deployment Board to implement a proposed broadband deployment project to the unserved area. House Bill 1056 by Representatives Van Winkle and Williams and Senator Cook concerning the statewide standard health history form that members of the Fire and Police Pension Association complete when commencing employment. House Bill 1078 by Representatives Landgraf and Exum and Senator Gardner concerning core programs for defendants who have served in the armed forces.
Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I move all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar, and the committee reports.
Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of all the reports to the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendars. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of all of the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we rise and report.
Motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committees met, had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole Basic League reports had under consideration the following attached bills being second reading. The makes following recommendations are on House Bill 1099, House Bill 1056 is amended, House Bill 1078 is amended, passed second reading, will revise and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion for the body is the adoption of the report to the committee of the whole. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1099, House Bill 1056 is amended, House Bill 1078 is amended, passed on second reading, order revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order, second reading of bills. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the committee of the whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills.
Motion before the body is
Being serious.
the motion before the body is the adoption for the Senate to resolve itself into the committee of the whole for consideration of the general order second reading of bills calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for consideration of the general orders second reading of bills calendar. Senator Smallwood will take the chair.
Committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1112?
House Bill 1112 by Representative Becker, J. Nescar, and Senator Crowder concerning covered health care services provided by a pharmacist.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 181112. There is no committee report.
To the bill, Senator Crowder.
Thank you, sir. What this bill does, this expands the requirement that health benefit plans provide coverage for health services provided by a pharmacist who are located within designated health professional shortage areas. Does not require health insurer to contract with a pharmacist. This was a somewhat simple but important bill. This allows a pharmacist who already has been doing this under grants in the past to actually be a part of the rural health care services. And they can actually perform situations like immunizations, diabetics control, blood pressure, cholesterol management, influenza testing. In rural Colorado, where you do have the provider shortage, this pharmacist can actually continue doing what they've been doing under a grant situation that no longer exists. And if that patient has a health care provider, that it would just convert into the pharmacist, and they just practice within their scope of practice. So it's a win-win for rural Colorado, which is under healthcare providers. So I would just ask for your support on this because I think it's an important but simple bill.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1112? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator, I was wondering if you could tell me why this was needed when it already says that any health benefit plan may provide coverage for health care services under a specific treatment protocol provided by a pharmacist.
Senator Crowder.
As my understanding, they were operating under a grant situation in the past, and to codify this with the providers is why the bill came forward. Why I cannot answer your question specifically. I just felt that, or the pharmacists felt that legislation should be brought forward to codify this in legislation. Other than that, I have no specific answer for you. Hope that covers it.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1112? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1112. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, barely, and House Bill 1112 passes. Will the clerk please read the title? Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 185 be laid over till Friday, March 23rd.
Motion for the body is to lay over Senate Bill 185. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 185 will lay over. Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also move that we lay over Senate Bill 52 till Friday, March 23rd.
Motion for the body is to lay over Senate Bill 52. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 52 will lay over. Assistant Majority Leader Scott. Okay. Will the clerk please read the title of House Bill 1172?
House Bill 1172 by Representative Young and Senator Lambert concerning money allocated from an appropriation from the Marijuana Tax Cash Fund to a designated managed service organization to implement its community action plan.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1172.
To the bill, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 1172 is a Joint Budget Committee bill. It changes some of the format of previous legislation, 16-202, that established methods for using marijuana tax revenues. This basically, it's a sort of a tweak to that to allow the Department of Human Services to use that money efficiently and also to use it for substance abuse disorders and startup costs or other expenses necessary to increase the capacity for such services out of the Marijuana Tax Cash Fund. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1172? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of House Bill 1172. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1172 passes. Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 200 be laid over till Friday, March 23rd.
Motion for the body is to lay over Senate Bill 200. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 200 will lay over. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 108?
Senate Bill 108 by Senators Crowder and Quorum and Representatives Arndt and Singer concerning the issuance of identification documents under the Colorado Road and Community Safety Act to persons who are not lawfully present in the United States.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Senate Bill 108 and the State Veterans Military Affairs and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the committee report, Senator.
Thank you. In State Veterans and Military Affairs, there was a slight amendment striking line 3 and substitute resident of a state other than a resident who has been issued a license under Part 5 of this. Article 2 is temporarily residing in a foreign country in which. And also on page 7, strike line 22 and substitute on or on the 21st birthday of the applicant as said by rule of the department. And the appropriations is just setting aside the money, $108,000 and some change. And so that's it.
Is there any further discussion on either the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report or the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of those reports. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh. Motion for the body is the adoption of the State Veterans and Military Affairs report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the report is adopted. Motion for the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, the bill allows that if you were here under and got a license under Senate Bill 13251, you may go in and actually renew online now than rather go through the appointment process. Ask for an aye vote on the bill.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I looked at this bill as a situation for agricultural. if you look at the bill closely enough, it's just the ability to drive down the road. But what our farmers need is not only someone to drive to work, but we need them, once they get to work, to be able to drive the farmer's equipment down the road. So I think it's an important bill, and it's an important step that we just, the problem we're having is filling these jobs in agriculture, as well as a lot of other jobs in the metro area. So I think it's an important bill, and I think it's a simple bill, because all we're talking about people driving down the highway, we're talking about people having insurance, a safety factor for us all, and they're also educated in the rules of the road. So I think it's a good bill, and I would ask for your support on this. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 108? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question for either of the sponsors regarding, looking at notes here, it says the bill allows a person who is not lawfully present to apply for an ID document for someone who presents a Social Security number that is acceptable. So I'm trying to understand that clarification of somebody who is not lawfully present, but then they have a Social Security number.
Senator Crowder.
Okay, what that has to do with is if a person, this is on the extension of his license, if for renewal, let's say a person goes in, currently has a license under this purview now, and then that person, the rules are every 2 years you have to get renewed. Well, let's say that person is in a foreign country for that period of time. What this does is give him basically an extension of 1 year when he gets back.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 108? Seeing none, the motion before the body. Oh, Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for the bill sponsors. We have had in the past a real problem with identity theft and having Social Security numbers actually duplicated or taken by other folks. Is there a process in place to double check this if this is being done online?
Senator Crowder.
There is. Through the verification process with the I-10, as well as the Social Security Department, every time there's an application for a license or an extension, that is re-verified through both the Social Security and the ID-T10.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 108? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 108. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 108 passes. Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we rise and report.
Motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The aye has it. We shall rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committees met, had several bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee will hold lead reports out on consideration the following tax bills being the second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations around Senate Bill 108 as amended, pass second read order, gross place on calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1112, House Bill 1172 passes second read order, revised place on calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 185, Senate Bill 52, Senate Bill 200 laid over until 3/23/18, retaining their place on the calendar.
Senator Smallwood.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion for the body is the adoption of the report to the committee of the whole. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, there are noes, there are absent, one excused. The committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 108 is amended, passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1112, House Bill 1172, passed on second reading, ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 185, Senate Bill 52, Senate Bill 200 laid over until 3/23/18 and retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read all the appointments on the consent calendar?
Members of the Energy Impact Assistance Advisory Committee for terms expiring August 24th, 2021, Daniel Fernandez of Dove Creek, Colorado, reappointed. Jeanette Gigi Dennis of Monte Vista, Colorado, appointed.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption and the approval of the members of the Energy Impact Assistance Advisory Committee, including Daniel Fernandez of Dove Creek and Jeanette Gigi Dennis of Monte Vista.
Gigi.
Gigi, 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 G.
The motion before the body is for the consideration of the governor's appointments consent calendar for the Energy Impact Assistance Advisory Committee. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that motion is adopted. Following persons are appointed to the Energy Impact Assistance Advisory Committee: Daniel Fernandez and Jeanette Gigi Dennis. Signing of bills.
The President signs Senate Bill 74 and 165.
And for the former Senator and Secretary of State, Gigi Dennis, who might be listening, that was Senator Scott. Ray Scott of Grand Junction, that mispronounced your name. Announcements. Anyone? Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, good morning, colleagues, and I'm just reminded of what the rabbi said this morning about do justice, show mercy, and walk humbly. And I have a letter in front of me from the Interfaith Alliance written by Reverend Amanda Henderson, who is the executive director, that has been sent to us. It says, "Dear members of the Colorado State Senate," I believe everybody probably received this, but I'd like to share it publicly and read it to us. As leaders in the faith community of Colorado, we come together to respond with a call for justice and empathy for those who have experienced sexual harassment in the workplace. In particular, we believe that our public spaces and public offices public officials should lead by example and offer the highest level of justice and accountability. God creates us all equally, and our faith calls us to speak for those who are marginalized and whose welfare has been ignored. We hope for continuing dialogue on best practices and policies that provide working places where all people are respected, regardless of faith, gender, ethnicity, ability, race, or sexual orientation. All people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect in all their interactions, especially while in the workplace. The independent third party hired by the Senate has found varying levels of violation of the dignity and respect of several individuals. Our teachings require us to seek accountability. Therefore, we ask that the leadership in the Senate take action to acknowledge the harm caused by the victims, and in the more egregious cases, we believe expulsion is warranted, because patterns have been found that shows disrespect for women. We believe the Colorado General Assembly must take swift action and decisive action to discipline its own members. We support Colorado Senate members seeking bipartisan action to set political division and discuss credible allegations of sexual misconduct in the workplace. Republicans and Democrats should stand together to reject inappropriate behavior. Every person who has ever been on the receiving end of an inappropriate behavior is watching closely for the actions of our elected officials. Our elected officials must uphold the highest standards of ethical conduct. Indeed, that is the larger calling. Those in positions of elected power who engage in sexual misconduct and violate the trust of their constituents, colleagues, and staff should take the responsibility for their actions. Our support as people of faith for the inherent human dignity of people, of all people, must be demonstrated in both our deeds and our words. To neutralize the harmful ripple effect of sexual harassment, we must start today with strong and decisive action, which holds perpetrators accountable and creates a culture of healing. As faith leaders, we ask our elected officials not to shy away from these most difficult and heavy-hearted decisions and discussions of personal behavior and responsibility. We urge the Colorado Senate to have a full and fair debate of the actions of its own members. This was submitted to all of us from the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado. For this reason, we, the members of the Senate Democratic Caucus, ask that the Senate resolution we prepared and submitted for introduction on February 13th, 2018, entitled Concerning the Expulsion of the Senator from Northwestern Colorado for Sexual Harassment of a Legislative Employee, be promptly introduced and brought to the floor of the Senate for debate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Martinez-Humenick. Senator Kafalis. Both of you. Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today is Kids Count in Colorado Doll Day here at the Capitol. So I just wanted to say good morning. We hope you're enjoying the handcrafted doll. And actually, they're not in our chairs today. They actually are in bags over here by the file cabinet, so that if you choose to take one of these with you that has your name on it back to your office or to sit in your chair for the day, please feel free to do this. These have been created by children and child advocates across Colorado. So in many cases, the dolls were created by our own kids in our own districts to remind us to continue to think about them as a priority as we make important policy decisions while we are in session this year. Doll Day is sponsored by the Colorado's Children Campaign, and which has also provided a copy of the annual Kids Count in Colorado report, which you should find on your desk today. This is the 25th edition of the report, and it takes a long-term look at trends in child well-being since the early 1990s.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Note the progress we've made for kids in that time due to courageous decisions in this very chamber. There are also many areas where we have more work to do, every chance for every child in our state. Please take your dolls and display them in your offices or share photos on social media with the hashtag KidsCount. Doll Day is a long-standing tradition at the Capitol, and we thank the kids and advocates around the state for making these dolls. We also invite you to show your support for Colorado kids by attending a celebration of 25 years of Kids Count today from 11:30 to 1:30 at the History Colorado Center. You're welcome to stop by in at any time for lunch, and if you so choose, a birthday cake. Thank you for supporting Colorado kids, and please make sure you take the Kids Count report that's on your desk. It's got a lot of good data in there, and it helps us to make informed decisions.
Senator Martinez-Humenick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, if you look on the back of your dolls, it tells you that I live in what city or county, and what that child wants to be when they get bigger and grow up. And for example, this one is a police officer. Max lives in Estes Park, and he wants a safe community where he can play outdoors with his friends. And it seems like playtime is a big concern. That's one of the things that we hear from students that come to the Capitol from our districts, that they wish we could legislate more recess time. This is a little guy named Carlos who wants to be a cowboy when he grows up, and he also wants to have a lot more playtime with other kids like him so that his parents can put him in preschool, and he's learning how to play safely with his new friends. So there's a special message on the back of each doll for each one of you, and I would encourage you to take a look, grab your doll, and at least take a look at what each child has done for you, because they've put a lot of time and effort into creating these dolls and bringing them to the Capitol today.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. And with your permission, I'd just like to make another announcement. There was another item. May I have your permission, Mr. President?
Of course. Go ahead.
Thank you. Colleagues, on your desk, I know there's oftentimes a lot of stuff put on our desk, but this one has a lapel pin, and I'd like to just quickly read what is on this card, again, on this theme of children, because I think a lot of what we do here is about the children. As part of our Youth Voice, Youth Choice campaign, this year we are presenting you with this lapel pin. Wearing this pin means that you value the voices and opinions of youth and young people in Colorado. You believe that communities benefit when youth are engaged and empowered, and commit to encouraging the participation of youth in decision-making processes, particularly those impacting their own lives. Please consider wearing this pin. And actually today, after you've eaten a whole bunch because of Ag Day, there is going to be a rally on the west steps of the Capitol building today, March 22nd at 4 p.m. And this is put on by something called Project Foster Power. Again, it's to try to help young people in the foster care system or transitioning out of the foster care system to have a voice and on the issues that impact them directly or indirectly. Mr. President, colleagues, thank you, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Senator. Any further announcements? Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we, as the Democratic Caucus, would like to publicly thank Senator Guzman for serving as our leader, our minority leader, for the last year and a half. We are so grateful to her for her leadership. She will now be serving as the assistant minority leader, and we welcome Senator Leroy Garcia to becoming the leader of the Democratic Caucus, effective March 22nd, 2018. We stand proud. We stand proud as a minority party. We stand proud as a group of people who choose to work in a bipartisan manner. And it has been under the gracious leadership of Senator Lucia Guzman, who has led us and will continue to lead us in just a different capacity. But I would just ask that all of us stand in appreciation of a great leader who has made the decision to move over and make room for a new leader. So thank you. We love you, Senator Guzman, and we appreciate your leadership, and we welcome you, Senator Garcia. Thank you.
Where are they? Did they leave? Who's Senator Garcia?
Thank you for that, Senator Todd. And Senator Garcia, congratulations. May God have mercy on your soul. Don't worry, I give that to anybody that takes on this mantle. And I would also offer the same words to Senator Guzman, and her leadership has been much appreciated, and her friendship over the years. And so thank you to her. She's not in the room right now, but pass that along to her. I certainly appreciate her leadership and friendship. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues in finance, we'll start at 10 after this morning.
Any further announcements? Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr.
Hold
President.
on, Senator. I got a message from the House here to be read.
The House has passed in third reading transmitted advisory statutes. House Bill 1092, amended as printed in the House Journal March 21st, 2018. The House is postponed indefinitely. Senate Bill 97, the bill is returned herewith.
And a message from the Governor.
March 21st, 2018, Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and will file with the Secretary of State the following act. Senate Bill 96, concerning modernizing statutory provisions that refer to terms related to mental retardation, approved March 21st, 2018 at 3:40 p.m. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Assistant Majority Leader Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adjourn the Senate until Friday, March 23rd at 11 p.m.
Would you like to try another motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just kind of noticed people weren't paying attention, so I withdraw that.
You know the only two people that will be here at 11 p.m. are you and me, right?
That's exactly right.
All right. So let's try that again.
Thank you, Mr. President. I withdraw that motion and start a new motion. I would like to make the motion that we adjourn until Friday, March 23rd at 9 a.m.
The motion is for the Senate to be adjourned until 9 a.m. Friday, March 23rd. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will stand in adjournment.